From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what we're working on for you over the next 60 minutes. Soybean prices hit near 2-year highs, but can a weather scare shoot prices even higher?
If we do go to La Nina, I actually think it's going to be a 2017 issue.
It's a summer weather outlook in our Farm Journal report. Greeted by cattle guards and gravel roads, it became a popular tourist attraction in the 1960s.
There wasn't a road out here at the time, and he said you can go to the pasture, just remember to shut the gates.
Andrew McCrae takes us to the tallest point in Kansas. And in John's world,
what's AI? You'll be learning that pretty soon.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Now for the news that moved the markets this week, soybean prices hitting 21-month highs, soaring past the $11 mark for the first time since September 2014. Analysts say there's no real fundamental reason for the price surge, with the rally largely sparked by fund action. The start of the new month means new fund money. And as you can see on the chart of the July contract, prices trending higher since March. Another factor lending soybeans a favor is Brazil. The country's economy spiraling even deeper into recession. But just this week, Brazil's government said it's trying to help by providing nearly $6 billion in additional credit to farmers and ranchers. The money is to entice equipment purchases and other investments and will go into effect July 1st. New numbers released this week shows the economy shrank 5.4% in the first quarter of the year. Now, reports this week showed the situation could bode well for U.S. farmers. That's because Brazil's farmers could hedge the country's softening currency and political uncertainty by holding on to their corn crop a little longer. In May, the value of the real dropped nearly 5%. But despite that uncertainty, Brian Grady thinks Brazilian farmers will still need to sell their crop.
We've got really strong prices, corn prices in Brazil right now. The Brazilian farmer is going to have to make some sales to capitalize and gain some capital as we look forward to planting decisions for their next growing season. So it comes down to a cash flow situation.
Grady says the big benefit to U.S. farmers will come in the form of exports, as Brazilian production fell off dramatically from all the weather issues farmers faced this year. A new Bloomberg report claims Bayer has secured $63 billion in financing for a Monsanto takeover bid. This is up from the $62 billion offer last month. The short-term loans are reported to come from creditors such as Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, and more. The bridge loan also includes an option to increase should Bayer decide to up the offer again. Possible easing of restrictions on U.S. pork is causing protests in Taiwan this week. The government currently bans U.S. pork treated with the food additive ractopamine, with some saying it's a health hazard. But a new political party came into control 10 days ago. And according to our reporting partners at the Pork Network, the new ag minister says that issue will need to be resolved before the country can join the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The cattle price collapse of 2015 will get another look. The U.S. Government Accountability Office accepted the request from the Senate Judiciary Committee to review the reasons cattle prices saw such a steep drop last year. The U.S. Watchdog Agency will also explore the impact of high-frequency trading on cattle futures. The agency didn't give a timeline for completing the formal review. The Eastern Corn Belt made major planting headway last week. USDA says as of May 31st, 94% of the corn crop is planted, 2 points ahead of normal. Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio making the biggest progress, jumping up more than 20 points in just 1 week. Now 78% of the corn is popping through the ground, up 3 from the 5-year average. And looking at soybeans, 73% is in the ground, 7 points ahead of average. 45% is emerged. All right, those are the headlines. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us now with a first look at weather. Mike, our friends in Texas and Louisiana cannot catch a break from all this rain. Is it any different next week?
Yes, Tyne, in a nutshell, it should be different for Texas as a lot of the moisture stays farther north this week. So that's the good news. But you'll notice, despite all the rain in Texas, places in northern Alabama and northern Georgia actually have gotten into a severe drought now. This area has been expanding. You can see 4 weeks ago, over the past month, we've seen things get better over the plains, although obviously too wet in places, and it's getting worse in parts of the southeast. It continues to get a little bit better out west, even though there's still pretty large areas of California with extreme drought or worse. Let's go day by day. On Monday, storm system, Great Lakes into the northeast, the wettest areas should be there. Cold front down into the southeast with showers and thunderstorms, and then just some afternoon variety. Spotty showers and thunderstorms through the Rocky Mountain states. Now, there is going to be an area of low pressure. We'll have to watch that for some tropical activity. That's going to move from the Gulf probably into the southeastern Atlantic as we head into Wednesday. And you can see that will be moving away along that cold front. But it will move across Florida with a decent amount of rain on Tuesday, the way it looks. Lots of sunshine through the Corn Belt down to the Gulf of Mexico. A couple of storm systems out west on Wednesday with some areas of showers and thunderstorms. By Friday, then, the cooler air starts to come in out west. Rain in many places across the northern plains into the Great Lakes, with warm conditions redeveloping from the Ohio Valley southward to the Gulf Coast. Time?
Thanks so much, Mike. Well, from the surge in soybeans to live cattle prices trending higher, we'll cover it all with this week's analysts. Brad Matthews and Craig Van Dyke join me next.
Be ready with Case IH. To learn more, visit caseih.com/efficientpower.
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today. Anybody know which full-size pickup offers a V8 that can tow up to 12,000 pounds?
The Chevy.
It's Ram.
I say Ford.
What do you think?
Whoa, what was that?
We moving?
We're going.
It's the answer to the question, baby. Silverado. Yep, Chevy Silverado offers best-in-class V8 towing.
You guys weighed me before I came in here?
Tommy, I'm a little disappointed. The yields weren't there and the prices are low. We need to sell at a good price. What do you advise?
Hi, it's Tommy Grisafi, and I would like to visit you at your farm to discuss strategies and risk management solutions that best fit your farm's interest. Call me at 855-737-FARM, and I will personally visit you at your farm. Experience solid market advice right on the farm.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, the long hauls, the never-ending chores, the unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
Join Drovers and Dr. Dan Thompson for our second annual Cow-Calf Cowboy College on June 20th and 21st in West Des Moines, Iowa. This two-day seminar, led by respected and knowledgeable industry experts, is filled with timely information for cow-calf operators. Topics include animal health and treatment programs, low-stress animal handling, nutrition, and genetic selection for your herd. Attendance will also qualify you as BQA certified. For more information, visit droverscowboycollege.com.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. This weekend for the Marketing Roundtables, Craig Van Dyke of Top Third, and new to our program, Brad Matthews of Roach Ag Marketing. Plenty of things to talk about this week, but let's talk about this exciting soybean market. Just start off with, flew past the $11 mark. What's the reason for this rally, Brad?
Well, the biggest thing going on right now is you have the funds that are coming in and buying this thing. So the managed money is really coming after this, and they don't have as much hedge pressure as we would in normal years, because a lot of people were saying, hey, you get to $9 beans, you get to $9.25 beans, $9.50 beans, sell, sell, sell. So a lot of these old crop beans were being sold $1, $1.50, and in some cases $2 ago. And now that I believe there's not a lot out there in the countryside, there's not the beans to be sold, with the funds going ahead and buying, you don't have that same pressure. So it's kind of what you would call some form of a short squeeze, really pushing the market up fast.
He mentioned when we were looking at the $9 and $10 beans and farmers sold a lot. You know, I've heard some from farmers that are frustrated because they say the marketing advice that you're giving us told us to sell a long time ago. Now we keep going higher. What's the chances that we could even go higher than this when you're telling me to sell now at $11?
Well, you look at what soybeans have done here, and really the market has gone parabolic. I mean, we're expecting potential record
record longs in the funds here this week. And where does it stop? You know, typically I'd like to see a market trend higher than just shoot straight up like what we've seen. So there's going to be ample volatility for guys to be able to help enhance those sales that they've already made. What I'd be looking at specifically right now is if you are overly sold on the cash side, you do need to be looking at some type of call approach. I would not get long this market. As volatile as it is, you're going to be riding a lot of motion as a producer. So, you know, for example, maybe buying an August, September soybean call, selling a November call against it, spreading yourself off a little bit. There will be a little spread risk there. But ultimately, if you are overly sold on beans and we have a weather issue and continue to run, you need to have something on top of that. If not, you got cash sales to make into this if you haven't sold a lot of new crop beans.
Brad, from a technical perspective, I know you like to look at the charts. What are the charts telling us going into June and even July? What do the charts think where these prices are going?
Well, from a seasonal perspective, the first week of June is usually a really good time to sell. So I do think we'll try and put in some form of a high here soon. The funds, as he said, you know, basically record long position. So if there's any type of profit taking, you can get a really quick break. That doesn't mean that the market's not bullish down the road with any kind of a weather story. But in the short term, I do think we try and put a high in sometime soon. I'll be looking probably in the next week or so, and the number that I would really like to see is $11 on the November soybeans. If we get there, I'll be making some sales.
But if we do have a weather scare this year, considering the balance sheets today, could we get a nice little rally there?
Well, you look at the 70-day world supply. If there's any type of a hiccup in production, you know, so you take a couple bushels off here, say 2-3 bushels off of the trend line yield, which actually would still be in the top 5 largest yields in history. That would put you comparable to 2012, and now you're talking numbers in the mid-teens as potential. You cannot rule that out.
But short term, he thinks possibly prices could fall. When we look, you talked about the chart and how it went straight up. So when prices do break, when we do fall, is it going to be messy?
With this type of run up, yes, I'd absolutely expect it to get a little bit messy. You know, as well as we're moving forward into the June acreage numbers. You know, obviously the big talk here moving forward is, are we going to see the acreage shift that, you know, from corn to beans, or are we going to see more acres altogether? There's no reason at this point, if farmers have gotten the opportunity to plant as much as they can with prices what they're doing, that they're not going to try to do that. So it's definitely not a time to sit around and be complacent with this market. Complacency kills. Guys have got to start making moves at some point, leaving your downside protected, but leave that top side open. As you mentioned, that if we do start to have some real weather issues, and you look at the way demand is headed and what the USDA could potentially turn that new crop carryout into with the demand we have, there's no telling how much higher beans can go from here.
So what about corn? What are the corn charts telling us then, Brad?
It's actually somewhat similar to beans. The corn seasonal, usually sometime in that first 7 to 10 days of June, typically puts in a seasonal high. You usually have a market that then goes down into early July. Then from that point, it's what happens with weather. You know, if we have hot, dry, you're going to get big spikes. I would think that the 420 to 430 zone is pretty good resistance. We're basically right up until that area. So I think if you have some old crop bushels, probably need to be taking a look at selling some of those. You really need to manage your risk on new crop. I do think there's downside risk to around 380, 390.
Okay.
From that point, if we do have any type of a weather situation, things can get interesting in corn just like they have in beans. I was taking a look at it. Every 1 bushel is basically equivalent to 86 million bushels off the carryout if we lower it by a bushel. So if you say you have a yield at 160, which once again would probably be a pretty good yield, just not the trend line that they're looking for, that takes almost 700 million bushels off the carryout, and now you're talking $5 plus corn.
Wow. All right. Well, we need to take a break. Situation in Brazil, we're going to hit on that, but we're also going to talk quite a bit about the meat sector, both hogs and cattle, when we come back on U.S. Farm Report. So don't go anywhere.
This is Machinery Pete, inviting you to check out my new website, machinerypete.com, offering farmers tens of thousands of used equipment listings to search. Let Machinery Pete help you find and value your next piece of used equipment.
You've committed to doing all you can to increase your yields and grow your bottom line. Like using Stratego Yield fungicide and its 2 modes of action for unbeatable control of the major foliar soybean diseases. You'll get an average yield increase of 3 to 4 bushels per acre. Healthier fields means higher yields. You're ready to profit from the season with Stratego Yield.
With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us. But only Case IH offers a 5-axle design to give you a smoother ride, more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
Hi, Tom Parent here for DR Power Equipment. Is your driveway a bumpy road full of potholes, washboard, and ruts? Well, for lots of folks that live in the country, this is a normal ride. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not when you own a DR Power Grader, now available at a new low price. Tow the Power Grader behind your riding mower, utility tractor, or ATV. With each pass, the Power Grader loosens, redistributes, and levels surface materials. Potholes and ruts are filled in, washboard is smoothed out, and your resurfaced driveway is ready to roll.
Call 1-800-708-5320 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. You'll learn how you can own a DR Power Grader for as little as $799.99. Free shipping is now in effect, and with our 6-month at-home trial, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call 1-800-708-5320. Online at drpowergrader.com.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. All right, let's start off with Brazil. When we look at the situation down there and the recession, what type of impact is that going to have on U.S. farmers?
Obviously, currency is going to be the first thing we all look at. You look at what currencies have done since really March, and we've seen the real actually find some gains here, whether that's on false or real pretenses. It is what it is. Similarly, we've seen the U.S. dollar break during the same amount of time. So if Brazil is heading that route, continue to go deeper and deeper, what is that going to do to their currency, and how will that affect exports moving forward? If they still have the crop that, they were expecting 2-3 months ago, which has obviously changed. So there'll be a fine balance there, I believe, between currencies and what they're actually going to produce right now.
Craig mentioned exports. Brad, when we look at that corn crop, they're going to have trouble just feeding their domestic demand, let alone exporting the crop. So could that help our corn prices short term?
I think so. I think some of that's already priced in. If you take a look, our exports have been very strong in the second half of the year. I know, again, this week we were, I want to say, 10 or 15 million bushels above the highest trade guess. So we've really picked it up, and that will probably continue for the remainder of this year's export season because of the smaller South American crop. But we do still have a large supply here of the old crop, so we need that to happen to continue to chew through it.
Live cattle. Let's switch over there. Looking at the chart, it's kind of nice to see live cattle trending higher. Why? Trending higher slightly.
It seems that we've had a shift here where cattle used to be the only bull market 2 years ago, and now it's the only bear market. We're seeing hogs find gains, but this cattle market, every rally gets sold. We've come down here to an area where on the longer term charts, maybe we're finding some consolidation. I do think, with the cattle on feed numbers that we saw last month, I do think we're going to start to see kind of putting in a high on the placements here moving forward, and we've seen the fat cattle spread just kind of flatten out on the back months. So while we're going to maybe narrow this basis up moving forward into June on the fat side, we really need to see those spreads tell a little bit more of a story if we want to get overly bullish cattle. But for right now, it's a market that every rally we get needs to be sold.
Expand on that a little bit. Feeders, fats, spreads. What is it telling you?
So I guess historically it would say that the next 30 days is usually a pretty good opportunity for prices. We should go up a little bit more, grind our way higher. The feeder versus fat spread is something to watch. If corn breaks, we should see feeders start to gain. That's what you want to see in a good bull market. You want to see feeders lead the way. But if you start to see that spread roll over sometime in that 20 to 30 day period where we should try and put in a seasonal top, you need to get ready to make some additional sales or get some hedges on.
Do you think this grilling season's factored in yet?
I don't think it's as factored in as much as some people do.
Okay.
Only because the funds they don't really have a long position on in the meats. So there had been a lot of selling. So if they were really pricing that in, I think we would have had a bigger long position in by the managed money.
Do you agree with that, Craig?
Well, somewhat. I think similarly, we've been able to move the product. We haven't seen beef really take quite the beating that most expected it to take here after the Memorial Day weekend. So we're still moving it as well as we're seeing weights come down. I think the market's getting a little bit more current. So it's a balance between, I don't think we're going to see beef prices skyrocket in the near term. But as the market gets more current, we need to see beef prices maintain in order for us to lift the futures.
Real quick, don't have much time. Pork prices, seeing good demand. Where do you think we're headed there?
Pork prices, I think, are going to continue to be stronger and might be a much bigger story moving into the end of the summer. China, announced their pork reserves, which obviously they don't have, as they announced this week, as we continue to see record prices in China. And they're going to come this year looking at potential record exports from China, outdoing Japan as the top importer of pork in the world, and that's going to come from the U.S. and Germany.
So some good news. Good news for pork producers out there. Thanks so much. We'll get their closing thoughts when we come back on U.S. Farm Report.
Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now is the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-316-1198 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-316-1198. Call now.
Welcome back to Markets Now. Brad Matthews of Roach Ag Marketing. What do you want to leave us with today?
Well, I think what's most important for producers is to have a good risk management strategy here. We are at levels that probably need to have some form of sales with calls bought against it or some form of a put underneath it for a floor. You can't not do anything here at these price levels because there is downside risk, but also if this La Nina pattern really takes place, there is also a lot of upside risk. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have upside attached. Floor, unlimited upside on the bushels, or selling with a call for upside.
Okay. Craig?
Similarly to what Brad said is, you cannot be complacent here. Complacency kills, and look where agriculture has come here, grain production, the market's kind of breathed a sigh of relief here. And so it's not a time to be sitting around. Absolutely, if you're not looking at putting a floor in under this stuff or making some type of cash sales, you need to be looking at that now. Everybody's bullish, and when you least expect it, we're going to head back to areas where we have problems. So leave yourself open to the upside, but be ready to make sure it doesn't go low.
Good advice this week. Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, Brad. Stay with us. John Phipps joins us next.
Every successful grower knows that the best crops need strong roots, and that means they need Radiate Plant Growth Regulator. Radiate features 2 powerful active ingredients that help young crops quickly develop the longer, healthier roots they need for more nutrient uptake, early vigor, and stress resistance. Applied either foliar or in furrow, Radiate makes all the difference for a wide variety of crops. So get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. See your CPS dealer today.
Yamaha Viking and Viking 6. The hardest working, most off-road capable side-by-sides in America. Built for the hardest working people on Earth. You.
Parasites will lose you more money than any other disease out there besides infertility. So, parasites is something that we have to control, and that's what VetGun does for us. It's tough out there on a ranch, but with the ease of the VetGun, it's a one-man operation, and whenever you can get one thing to work out great throughout that day, it just makes my life a little easier.
New in 2016, the Tomorrow's Top Producer Conference will span 2 days and be held in Nashville, Tennessee. Join us June 16th and 17th with speakers on topics including marketing, risk management, negotiation tips, and succession planning. This event will help young farmers master the skills needed to be successful in today's farming landscape. Speakers include Walt Coleman, NFL referee and Highland Dairy Controller, Mo Russell, Russell Consulting, Brent Olkey, Innovis Agra, and more. Visit tomorrowstopproducer.com for the full agenda and registration information.
Technology on the farm continues to evolve, drastically changing in only a matter of years, and we're only scratching the surface. John has more from the farm.
In one of those odd news events that make you say, recently a computer artificial intelligence, or AI, defeated the world's best Go player. Now, I know nothing about the ancient Chinese game of Go, but it was universally recognized as one of the most difficult games to master. We've already seen how computers now dominate chess and even Jeopardy, and the gap is growing. These remarkable achievements by computer science have prompted both cheers and alarm. Because Go is incredibly complex and each move has thousands of possible outcomes, it was one of the last hopes that there were some things humans could do that computers could never master. More unsettling was how the AI accomplished the win. Newer AI programs have the ability to not just brute force calculate and rank millions of options, but actually learn strategy and tactics as they play. In fact, after the match, the world's best Go player commented the computer made moves he had never seen a human make. I don't know about you, but that makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. There have been myriad implications offered regarding what this means for the future. One is that machines are not just a threat to jobs of assembly line workers, but knowledge workers as well. The massive layoffs in the lucrative finance industry, for example, are driven both by more sophisticated technology and a shift to passive trading rather than depending on a human advisor. Medical diagnoses are slowly being made more often with the aid of a computer, as well as reading medical scans to detect abnormalities. It always seems far-fetched to imagine a computer doing what we do on the farm, and certainly I can't see wholesale replacement of farmers with AI or other technology. But if we've been watching what's happening in the dairy industry or machinery technology, we can at least picture an industry where we need fewer and more highly skilled farmers. The race against the machine that began with the Industrial Revolution is not over.
So true. Thanks so much, John. Well, it's no secret that the markets are keeping a close eye on weather, but how could the switch from El Nino to La Nina pan out this year? We have a summer weather outlook after the break.
U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast. From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. We have much more ahead over the next half hour. La Nina is a buzzword right now, but could it spark a major weather rally this summer? That's our Farm Journal report. Andrew McCrae takes us to the highest point in the Sunflower State, which used to be one rancher's secret cattle gazing spot. And in customer support, John's back with round 2 of the trade deficit. Now Now for the headlines, a win for farmers and ranchers worried about government overreach as the Supreme Court ruled this week that landowners can challenge the Clean Water Act in court. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court now makes it easier to argue the federal government's ability to regulate water on property. Now in the case, the Supreme Court sided with North Dakota-based Hawks Company, which wants to harvest peat from wetlands in Minnesota. But the Army Corps of Engineers stalled those plans, determining the water land contained waters of the U.S. and needed to be filed under the Clean Water Act. With Tuesday's ruling, a landowner can now appeal through the federal courts over a water body that's subject to federal jurisdiction and permit requirements under that act. EPA says one of the nation's most used corn and sorghum herbicides could harm the environment. And now the maker of the chemical is firing back. EPA coming out with its draft ecological report on atrazine Thursday. The agency found the amount of atrazine released into the environment in the U.S. is likely harming most species of plants, birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. Now, up until this point, EPA determined the proper use of the chemical was safe. But the maker of atrazine, Syngenta, says the most recent draft report is flawed, claiming EPA's findings discounted several rigorous scientific studies of the chemical.
And we're going to solve your water problem.
Trump, speaking at a rally in Fresno, California last week, told farmers and ranchers it's not the drought causing such water shortages, but mismanagement of H2O.
And I just met with a lot of the farmers who are great people, and they're saying we don't even understand it. They don't understand. Nobody understands it. And I've heard this from other friends of mine in California where they have farms up here and they don't get water. I said, oh, that's too bad. Is it a drought? No, we have plenty of water. I said, what's wrong? Well, we shove it out to sea. And I said, why? And nobody even knows why. And the environmentalists don't know why. Now they're trying to protect a certain kind of 3-inch fish.
One of those individuals who met with Trump during a closed-door meeting last week also spoke to our partners at AgriTalk Tuesday. John Amaral told AgriTalk he believes Trump is a businessman looking for a solution to the problem, not just rhetoric, and said if Trump wins, he promised to devise a plan to fix the issue. The latest drought monitor shows dryness is still gripping the state, but a major improvement in just months. This week's monitor shows 21% of the state seeing the most severe level of drought. Compare that to the start of the year when 44% of the state was covered in the darkest shade of red. But despite the stark change, CoBank says California's farmers and ranchers could face up to $1.5 billion in losses this year. That's because the drought is still gripping the state, including lingering effects on water restrictions. The state is allocating less than 60% of the state's water supplies in some areas. And CoBank says that equates to 5 to 7% loss in net cash income for farmers and ranchers across the state. It seems consumers are turning tastes to bison. The National Bison Association says U.S. sales are up 22% in just 2 years. That's including sales to both supermarkets and restaurants. The association reports sales reached $340 million in 2015. And now the concern shifts to finding enough market-ready animals to meet the growing demand. All right, that's it for the news. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us now with the national forecast. Mike, we're seeing drought pop up in parts of Iowa and the South in the latest drought monitor.
Yeah, that's right, Tyne, and we're going to have to see some systems affect those areas to get some help in that. And there might be some this coming week. You can see on the jet stream a pretty good trough across the Great Lakes. Now, this will be pretty dry, though, from the southeast all the way into the northern plains, at least to start the week. But then that moves away. We start to heat things up after Wednesday as the ridge moves in farther east, and that will bring some more showers and thunderstorms to parts of the plain states into the southeast once that does start to happen. So as we head through next weekend, you can see things go a little bit more zonal, so a little bit less of this big heat and big cool areas. There are the 30-day temperatures. I'm expecting above normal southeast, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic. Below normal up and down the plain states from Nebraska southward, and above normal out west. 30-day outlook for precipitation above normal for the northern Great Lakes and New England, below normal central Mississippi Valley, and then above normal Texas all the way up into Wyoming. Tyne?
Thanks so much, Mike. Well, this week marks the official start of the 2016 hurricane season, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is predicting a near-average year. NOAA officials are calling for 10 to 16 named storms, with 4 to 8 having the potential to become hurricanes. Now, from hurricanes to drought, predictions are flying around, sparking hope of a weather price rally this summer. So what can you expect? Well, Betsy Gibbon has this week's Farm Journal report.
A farmer knows you can't control the weather.
I don't let the weather get to me quite as much as maybe as I did, 25 years ago when I was, much younger.
And in that time, forecasting tools and techniques here changed as well. Our meteorologist Mike Hoffman is anticipating a warmer 90-day outlook for most of the country this summer.
Northern Central Plains, the entire Corn Belt, all the way through the northeastern part of the country, with near normal in the southeast and cooler than normal West Texas into the Four Corner region.
He says precipitation is much harder to forecast.
But there's going to be pockets, there always are, that are dry or too wet. But I think overall we're okay in the moisture category for most of the growing areas.
However, he's anticipating a fairly active hurricane season in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's a wild card that we can't forecast right now, but I do think there could be a couple of hurricane hits in the Gulf of Mexico region during the late summer into the fall.
Corn is down 2 to 3.
Ryan Martin is a grain trader and meteorologist for Hoosier Ag Today. He says El Nino and La Nina will not leave much of an impact this year.
El Nino, La Nina, not a major factor. It's a buzzword right now.
He says the trend is warmer and wetter, not generally a sign of a strong La Nina into summer.
If we do go to La Nina, I actually think it's going to be a 2017 issue, not a 2016. Why? Because we're still under El Nino right now. Give it 3 months to ease back. If we go directly to La Nina, that puts us August. We're done with this crop year.
Martin says he is foreseeing some pockets of problems. He's concerned with the western part of the Corn Belt and Plains, producing below trendline yields because of above normal temperatures, below normal precipitation.
I would be concerned about Nebraska, and part of the reason is what we're seeing right now. Lots of rain. Maybe the southern tier, southern half of South Dakota could fall into that, having trouble to get the trend line. And I also would say that you have to be a little worried about Iowa. The northwest Missouri will come in as well. The warmth there is going to probably offset the temperature, the precipitation we see.
He's predicting above trend in Wisconsin and Minnesota.
But if you're looking for a garden spot this year, Minnesota is going to be it.
Martin anticipates near normal precipitation for Indiana. He says the state should not be too far from trend as long as the crop gets in the ground. Illinois is the tough one.
Illinois is going to be the real interesting state because it could go either way. We've got some dryness there, we've got some warmth, but it's not the entire state, so it could be interesting.
All farmers can do is manage their bottom line and prepare the best they can.
So we just kind of weather the storms and just go whatever Mother Nature is, hands at us.
Reporting for U.S. Farm Report, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
We'll see if those projections come true. Thanks so much, Betsy. Well, up next, John Phipps.
Free trade is better, but it has a cost.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump? Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-515-4765 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR Stump Grinder for 6 months. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR for as low as $42 a month. Plus, get free shipping if you call now. 1-800-515-4765. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to file a claim. My central air stopped working and needs to be replaced.
Oh, sorry, your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover air conditioners.
So what do you cover?
Well, home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Covered.
But not my air conditioner.
Mm-mm.
But his air conditioner would have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, oven, refrigerator, washer, water heater, and more. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty from award-winning American Home Shield helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-944-5796.
As promised, John's back with round 2 of his talk on the trade deficit.
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
Loyal viewer Greg Clifford has frequently pointed out how our trade policies have exported jobs and hurt our economy. As a staunch free trader, I have disagreed because classical economic theory clearly shows more trade benefits all countries involved. But it turns out Greg has a very valid point. There's a real problem when you get down to the nitty-gritty details. Let's look at China as a popular and useful example. As China began its rapid economic growth, their factories used extremely cheap labor to manufacture labor-intensive products, notably textiles and clothing. Their competitive advantage was so immense that Chinese competition virtually wiped out clothing manufacturing in the U.S. Meanwhile, the dollars the Chinese got from making clothes helped them to buy a lot of stuff from us, like soybeans. Keep in mind, too, this is without any special trade agreement like TPP or NAFTA. The result was clothing in the U.S. has become remarkably cheap. What used to cost consumers over 5% of disposable income in 1990 now only costs a little over 3%. This sounds like small, but it amounts to about $10 billion per year in savings for consumers. Unfortunately, almost none of us noticed. We just bought more clothes than ever before. Meanwhile, the U.S. workers who lost their jobs in the textile industry and their communities were devastated, especially in the Southeast. The collapse was more severe and long-lasting than economists ever imagined. A recent study by lead economist David Autor demonstrates that these dislocations permanently lowered the standard of living for up to 2 generations. There are many reasons, but in general, labor is simply not as flexible as we thought in our theories. Laid-off clothing workers don't move to Silicon Valley and become programmers. So even though the overall results were very positive for the vast majority of citizens in both countries, those who suffered the cost were hit much harder than was expected. So, my continued support of expanded trade now includes significantly more help for those affected to recover their lives. However, we cannot reverse the clock and bring such jobs back because manufacturing is not what future jobs will be about. If you remember what we sell best from last week, it should be clear U.S. trade will be more about services, not goods. And we'll have more on that in a later Ag-Splainer.
Thanks, John. And if you have questions or comments for John, you can contact him with the information on the screen. Up next, we're off to the Sunflower State for an interesting tourist attraction. Andrew McCrae takes us there after the break.
Is the early application of fungicide profitable on corn? Does it really make me money?
One of the things is you're going across the field anyway with a herbicide, probably a post-emergence herbicide. It's easy and cost-effective to throw a fungicide in the tank with that application. Now, early season, we're trying to do 2 things. We're trying to protect the leaves in the middle of the canopy and gives good stalk quality. There's a lot of good benefits out of that. When you're going through that field, you're harvesting, you're burning fuel by the hour with your combine. If I have to slow down because my stalks aren't standing well, then I'm increasing my cost per acre. If I'm going to 4 miles an hour, I have to slow down suddenly to 2 miles an hour because my stalks aren't standing straight. I just double the cost of fuel invested in harvesting. Nothing to do with yield, but that's direct money out of my pocket. So the value of an early season fungicide is not just the yield increase, but also the increased efficiency you see through the season. There's a lot of value from that early season application.
We're all aware of catastrophic storms that can knock out power to millions. Powerful storms and high winds that bring down power lines. Even rolling blackouts caused by our nation's faltering electrical grid.
So how can you protect your home and family from all these uncertainties?
The answer is a home standby generator from Generac. It stands guard, ready to automatically supply power to your home within seconds of a power outage. For a free buyer's guide and DVD all about Generac home backup power, call 1-800-731-0399. You'll learn all about automatic home generators starting at just $18.99. Online at freegeneratorguide.com.
It's one of the best investments I've ever made in this house.
It gives you security, it's reliable.
That gives you that feeling of security that, to me, is priceless.
Call now for a limited time bonus offer worth $495. That's 1-800-731-0399.
It's known as the highest natural point in the Sunflower State, and it's less than a half a mile from the Colorado border. It's a private piece of land, but very open to visitors. In American Countryside, Andrew McCrae takes us to a popular tourist attraction where a cattle guard greets you with dirt roads as you come in.
This windswept road may appear to head nowhere. However, every year, hundreds of people will take this path for a shot to climb one of the nation's tallest peaks. If you can't see it in the distance, that's probably because we're at the tallest point in the nation's flattest state. This is the road to Mount Sunflower.
The summit certainly has the wind you'd find on one of the nation's tallest peaks, but here you're more likely to see tumbleweeds blowing across your path than ice and snow. Ed Harold's grandparents came here to western Kansas in 1906, picking this spot to homestead sight unseen. Ed remembers his grandfather, who would drive across the ranch checking his Hereford cattle.
My grandfather had a had a Buick, that car. I never knew him to drive a pickup. He always drove a Buick car, and he would come out here, and this was the high point for him to observe where his cattle were.
The spot where Ed's grandfather checked that herd was the place that afforded the best view of the cattle. But in 1961, the location received a special distinction when, for the state's centennial, officials wanted to locate the highest point in the state of Kansas.
A man came up out of Garden City Geological Survey and designated, looking at the topographic maps and an altimeter, and this is where he deemed it to be.
It was dubbed Mount Sunflower. In the 1960s, people began traveling to the highest point in each of the 50 states. Known as high pointers, Ed's uncle soon realized such folks and others who simply enjoyed the novelty of this Kansas mountain would be coming to their ranch.
He enjoyed having people stop to look for, say they were looking for the high point, so he did put up a long tree branch because there wasn't a road out here at the time, and he said, you can go to the pasture, just remember to shut the gates.
Today, Ed carries on the tradition, maintaining a long gravel lane that leads to the sign at the top. The ranch is about 20 miles off of I-70 via mostly gravel roads, yet people keep coming to this remote place. There's quite a view, although Ed laughs at exactly how far one can see from Kansas's tallest peak.
Well, you can see all the way to Colorado, which is about a little less than a half a mile away, if you know where you're looking.
Ed put up a mailbox with a registry inside. About 2,000 to 3,000 people come here every year. Many enjoy writing comments about their arduous climb to the top of Mount Sunflower.
Where did the stickers I skied Mount Sunflower?
Lady at the Fort Wallace Museum, she had them made.
The Harold family has enjoyed their role of welcoming visitors to the highest point in the flattest state.
We've had people here from foreign countries and that sort of thing. It's just interesting to see how they decide to come.
Mount McKinley or Mount Rainier, it is not, yet it is the highest point in Kansas, Mount Sunflower, a place that people will drive for thousands of miles simply to climb to the summit and then record their views in this journal. It's a place to catch one of the best vistas of the high plains. Traveling the countryside on top of Mount Sunflower, I'm Andrew McCrae.
Thanks so much, Andrew, and you can watch more of his travels on the My Farm TV app. Up next, Machinery Pete joins us with this week's Classic Tractor.
The new DR trimmer mowers are here, and they're better than ever. The walk-behind DRs feature world-class engines and easy rolling wheels that let you trim along buildings, decks, and fence lines, mow tall grass and waist-high weeds without tangling, even cut brush up to 3 inches thick with optional cutting attachments. And now there's a full line of tow-behind DR trimmer mowers. choose from models customized for riding mowers, ATVs, or compact tractors. So turn to DR and get the job done right.
Call 1-800-418-1409 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. We'll include details of our special 36-month financing plan that lets you own a DR for as low as $25 a month. Free shipping is now in effect, so call 1-800-418-1409. Online at drtrimmer.com.
DR is professional power done right.
If you're age 85 or younger, call
800-285-8608.
to learn more about the senior care plan from Angel Care Insurance Services. The average funeral now costs over $7,000, but the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255, leaving your loved ones to pay your debt. The senior care plan will pay up to $30,000 for funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam, and you'll have lifetime coverage. Your rates will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and your plan cannot be canceled. To receive free information about the senior care plan and its benefits, call the number on your screen now. Also receive information about a free prescription discount card by calling now. There's no obligation. Operators are standing by.
Call 800-285-8608. That's 800-285-8608.
Time now for Tractor Tales with Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
I'm standing next to an International 100, which they only made 135 of. It's an industrial version of a Farmall 100. It's got the heavier square front axle and heavier tie rods, and they were made mainly for industrial use or highway mowers. It originally had a belly sickle bar mower under it, and I didn't have one of those, so I put the other controls on and put a 1-point hitch on the back. And I'd like to find a single point sickle bar mower to mount on it, but I'm not convinced yet that IH ever made one. I've seen one on eBay, but I'm not sure whether it might have been put together. It's also got a foot throttle. It was a model change, so when they went to the 130, it had a white grille and a white inlay behind the International. It followed the big tractors, and the design of the tractor and the paint schemes went along with the larger tractors. So this would have been painted the same as the 400, and then when they went to the 450 and had the white, they done the same thing to the smaller tractors, including all the way down to the Cubs. The paint scheme stayed the same for all the IH tractors. It'd have to be number 2 to my Farmall C, because it's an extremely rare tractor, and because of the heritage of it, who had it, it's something very special to me.
Today's Country Church Salute goes to St. John's Lutheran Church of Minnesota, celebrating 125 years of faith on July 3rd. They invite any present or past member to join for the celebration. It's a rich history, starting with German settlers in 1891, and has been an active congregation since. Our thanks to Rosemary Becker for sharing their story with us. Stay with us. Mike Hoffman joins me for photos next.
Find your next piece of farm equipment with Machinery Pete. Visit and shop on machinerypete.com today with more than 100,000 listings for sale.
You've committed to doing all you can to increase your yields and grow your bottom line. Like using Stratego Yield fungicide and its 2 modes of action for unbeatable control of the major foliar soybean diseases. You'll get an average yield increase of 3 to 4 bushels per acre. Healthier fields means higher yields. You're ready to profit from the season with Stratego Yield.
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today. Anybody know which full-size pickup offers a V8 that can tow up to 12,000 pounds?
Chevy. Ram.
I say Ford. What do you think?
Whoa, what was that?
We moving?
We're going.
It's the answer to the question, baby. Silverado.
Yep, Chevy Silverado offers best-in-class V8 towing.
You guys weighed me before I came in here?
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now is the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Welcome back. Well, our friends in West Texas, Mike, they can't catch a break.
I know.
Jeremy Louder is in Stanton, Texas. He had severe hail last week, which we showed you a picture of, Mike, when you didn't join us at the Indy 500 Speedway. And then this week,
I wish I could have.
And then this week, 4.5 inches of rain in just 2.5 hours. He sent pictures of fields flooded. Replanting will need to take place, but the waters did quickly retract. The next picture is that same road and field only a day later. But with the moisture, Mike, weed control will be a concern, adding just another layer of expense for farmers already struggling with low prices and thin margins
It's been sad in that area, and it's a gamble in West Texas each year, but this video from the National Weather Service in Lubbock just proves it. This is taken at the Lubbock Airport. You can see the haboob swallow the airport Sunday. That happened in only 6 seconds.
Man.
I can't imagine. I haven't lived in that part of the country.
That makes me want to cough.
Ooh.
Steve says blueberries in Fair Grove, Missouri are growing well. Open skies are adding some nice sunlight to grow the young plants. They also had good pollination and fruit set. He's looking forward to his fruits of his labor this summer, where he'll have his first harvest on some of the larger plants.
All right. And in Virginia, Steve tells us the blackberries finally quit blooming last week, signaling the end of blueberry winter. He says it was unusually cool and wet last month, where they received 10 inches of rain in May. That's a record for Charlottesville.
Lots of blueberries, blackberries, you can
I love
tell.
Blackberries.
Oh, we're in summer mode. Speaking of summer, I'm on vacation next week. It just so happens Mike's on vacation next
just
week.
by chance.
I'll be on a beach.
I'll be working in the yard.
He'll be landscaping his yard. Well, we want to hear from you. You can send comments to mailbag@usfarmreport.com or check us out on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us at US Farm Report, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join us again right here next week as we work to build on our tradition, and Clinton Griffiths is going to fill in for us. Have a great weekend, everyone.
High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Chevy Silverado, the official news-gathering vehicle of U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast.